Hello, my frisky ponies. First of all, if you haven't checked out the INFJ podcast, on which I am a guest, check it out. The link is in the description. Le description. Right now, man, I have a song stuck in my head. Maybe you know it. It's called Car Radio by 21 Pilots. It's a really good song. I'll link to it. The recurring words in there are, I have these thoughts so often I ought to replace that slot with what I once bought, 'cause somebody stole my car radio and now I just sit in silence. I'm not going to do the whole song. I know you want me to, but I won't. The song is about being stuck in a car with no radio and just being stuck in the quiet with your own thoughts, which at some points in my life has been like one of my biggest fears. I'm like, oh God, please don't let me... Please don't let me be here alone with just my thoughts. Please. And I don't struggle with that so much anymore. Like, I enjoy just turning off the radio sometimes and driving for hours on end. But occasionally it comes back to me where I just have bad thoughts that get into my mind and run around on a little hamster wheel. And sometimes they're just annoying, and other times they're so bad that, like, honestly, it makes you want to kill yourself, because it's like, this is too much. I just keep ruminating on bad things, and the thoughts are often like, what am I doing wrong in my life? How am I screwing up? Or even like, what are the good things in my life, and how am I going to screw those up? And how are they actually the bad things in life? I feel like our first inclination is just, let's drown it out. Let's put on some music. Let's listen to the radio, or even maybe some good stuff. Let's listen to some inspirational crap. And that can be good, just distract yourself for a while, or refocus your attention on good things. Thoughts that you think are positive are going to help you out. But the problem is, as soon as you turn those things off, you're back to your own thoughts. And if you haven't come to a solution about the things you're thinking about, you're just going to stay there forever. So I just want to propose a couple of things that are sort of helping me. That's what a great self-help person I am, to be like, this is sort of helping me. I don't know. It might be total garbage, but your thoughts are out of your control. You can't control your thoughts. That can be very relieving. Your thoughts are not coming from you. And sometimes what makes it worse is we have negative thoughts and then we say, oh crap, what does this say about me as a person? Am I a bad person because I'm thinking these things? And that just compounds it. That makes it a lot worse. But also realizing that the thoughts aren't you. They are just thoughts. They are just things randomly generated by your brain. Maybe not so randomly, but they're just like being spit out by your brain nonstop. It can help to just recognize that and know that it's not necessarily always coming from a place of truth. And another thing I was thinking of, and I'm not a scientist here, let's not kid ourselves, but just me BSing around, I'm thinking about the human brain and what it is meant to do and where it has come from. Think about this. What is the overarching thing that has been passed down to us? Us alive now, through all the generations, what has been passed down? It is survival. I mean, it's kind of amazing. If you ever want to give yourself a boost, think, I wouldn't be alive now if not for everyone in every generation before me, directly coming before me to the beginning of time, hadn't been a survivor. They're a survivor. They're not going to give up, is what I'm trying to say. You're not one of the losers who died along the way. You are the avant-garde of survival and existence. Like, that's pretty cool. The problem is the human mind, being tailored toward survival, has not evolved along with modern life. Like, the human brain today is not equipped to handle modern life. And by modern, I don't just mean like post year 2010. I mean post like 5000 BC. Like, the mind hasn't really caught up with where we are. And especially now, if you're living, I assume since you're watching YouTube, you probably don't have to worry so much about survival on a day-to-day basis, right? Yet that's what your brain cares about. And the brain, in order to survive, is always looking for threats and is always looking for, where are things going to go wrong? And because in this wonderful world that we live in, where you can go to YouTube and watch cats playing a piano, your brain doesn't have to worry about, oh, is a saber-toothed tiger going to jump out behind that rock? All it has to worry about are all the things going on in your life that aren't really threats. As such, if you have a hyperactive mind that obsessively thinks about stuff and is like, oh crap, when is everything going to fall apart? What am I doing wrong? I have this good thing in my life, but it's going to blow up. It's your brain trying to survive. It's saying, we got to find all the threats. We've got to find something wrong. There's got to be something wrong here, because that's just what your brain does. It doesn't mean that your brain is right. Your brain is probably wrong, but the whole point of it is to try to find crap that is going to kill you. So, I mean, you should maybe listen to it occasionally and be like, is there anything to this? But it's sort of like your brain is like an old man. It's like your grandpa who is sitting in the armchair and is not really doing anything, but just kind of giving you a bunch of advice about everything you do and nitpicking everything that you're doing and saying, because your grandpa's gone through a lot of stuff and he's just trying to keep you safe, and he's just like trying to do everything he can to make sure that your life is good. And it comes from a good place, I guess, but it also comes from a place of not necessarily having much else to do. Sorry, Grandpa. I think it can be a very powerful thing to realize this, that your brain is just this fancy survival machine, and part of its operation is to find everything wrong and to force you, like try to force you to really think about everything and to find danger everywhere. In doing so, I think you can maybe separate yourself from the thoughts a little bit and realize, hey, they're just thoughts. This isn't me. This isn't some signal from God. This is just the brain doing what it does, and I don't have to ruminate on every thought that comes into my head. I don't have to give everything heed. I don't have to think that everything is true that it's saying. It's like if you were walking through a park and you passed a bunch of people, a bunch of strangers who just gave you random bits of advice and told you random things, negative things, would you believe any of them? Well, maybe you would. I probably would. But you shouldn't, right? And the brain tricks you because it's like, this is my brain. But the brain doesn't care about who you are. It just wants you to live. And it wants you to avoid pain, and it wants you to avoid suffering. And it can be good to look at, what is it actually trying to tell me? It could just be telling you this situation has risk, and it could be discomfortable. It could be uncomfortable, right? Especially when we're doing things that challenge us and are going to cause us pain in the pursuit of growing. Like if you have some kind of goal that you're trying to achieve, you have some way you're trying to push yourself, your brain is going to actively try to get you to stop doing that, because it knows it's going to be painful, and it knows that there's a chance of failure, and it doesn't want you to go through that. And in some ways, growing as a person requires the death of the old person in a metaphorical way. And I feel like your brain is going to interpret that metaphorical death as being very real. Like when you let go of old habits and old ways of thinking, and you're trying to grow and become a better person, and you're trying to do new things, your brain doesn't like it. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill yourself? Are you like trying to kill these old parts of yourself? You're going into this new territory. There could be a saber-toothed tiger that jumps out and kills you. What are you doing? It's illogical, but your brain doesn't care. Your brain just wants you to survive. And when you think about it, back in the day, and I'm not talking 1985, I'm talking prehistoric times, when the human brain was being fine-tuned. Life was short, and all that mattered was, did you live long enough to have a kid and raise the kid so that he could be good on his own? So you would be dead by the time you were like 25 or 30. The brain doesn't really care about getting you much beyond that. These hippie things of self-development and like improving yourself require you to press against the brain's natural wiring, because your brain doesn't care about you improving yourself. It just wants you to survive and pass on your genes. So when you are, in a way, trying to kill old parts of yourself, move into uncharted territory, and make something of yourself, to be a contender, your brain is going to try to sabotage it. And you need to realize that. And when you have obsessive thoughts, it's good to, instead of just trying to distract yourself from them, and instead of feeding into them and being like feeling emotions attached to them and being like, oh crap, it's right. What if it's right? What, I got to think this through. Just like look at it and be like, well, what is this really saying? It's saying it's scared of something. It's scared of this. It doesn't know what's going on. It's in uncharted territory. It's trying to keep me safe. And I don't need to listen to it because I know I am moving against my natural wiring, and it's okay because I know that at some point in the future, when I have reached or come closer to my goals, I will have rewired my brain to realize it's okay. I don't need those old parts of myself. I don't need the safety zone that I had before. I can be in this new, better place. I think it can be very powerful to realize that the thoughts, the obsessive negative thoughts in your head are not you. They don't necessarily have any truth in them. They're just natural responses that are trying to prevent you from getting killed. And sometimes you need to move towards that feeling of being killed in a weird way, because that's the only way you can grow, is to go through sorts of deaths of your old self. I know it sounds a little dark, but it's true. All right, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you have to say, what you think, what you're obsessively thinking about my video. Let me know. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like if you liked it. And until next time, stay cool and attractive.